All right, I was not planning on making this video, but I'm catching up on some Facebook comments that a couple of my friends have left the last few days. And just sitting here reflecting on some of the conversations that I've had with friends and family over the last couple of years as I've shifted my political ideology a bit more to the right, certainly relative to where it had been in previous years. And I thought that I would very quickly touch on just some posts that I've made in the last year or so and a disconnect that I see between the messaging that I put out and the feedback that I've received. So technically, the person that prompted this is my best friend, Mark Bear, in Philadelphia. I don't know why I associate all of Dave's friends with Philly, but whatever. And honestly, it's not him that I'm gonna talk about. It's another friend, and I'll get into that in a moment. But this was a post that I shared recently, as I said, retarded, and it's just an NBC News article where they're talking about the recent editorial changes that retard Trump made to the plaques that go beneath all the portraits of the past presidents. I think it's childish. It's goofy. It's fairly par for the course for Trump, but I still find it annoying. And so Thomas More, of course, said garbage. Agreed. My best friend in the world, Robert Meyer, said, I'm not even sure how to respond to these absurdities anymore. I also agree. I missed Ben's response. What did Ben say? Oh, we laugh, of course. I'm shocked it was allowed. Someone had to hang these, and it certainly wasn't Trump himself. Agreed. And then I slipped in my joke here about drinking the Kool-Aid, and it's somewhat of a joke, but quite honestly, I do feel like both the left and the right, the majority of the people that occupy that openly call themselves a Democrat or a Republican, I do think they're Kool-Aid sippers. I think it's very difficult for folks to call balls and strikes, or at least attempt to. They filter just about everything through the lens of who's on my team. My team good, their team bad, no matter what the reality of that particular issue might be. And so, anyways, get to the meat and potatoes. Mark said, "Bro, ain't that your man's in them? Where's that red hat?" So obviously he's talking about this baller at nigga crispy boy. Ooh, and check out the fade, man. Stop playing with me. Anyways, talking about my crispy ass MAGA hat. Uh, Chavez, who is a goofball that I met in Singapore, who liked this post. I don't know. Oh yeah, where's that hat, Ryan? I don't know what that means. I've been very clear in my post that I am not pro-Trump, but I even find that phrasing to be problematic. Like baked into the phrase, Are you pro-Trump?" is insinuating that being pro-Trump makes you inherently a piece of trash. It's kind of it's. I don't recall people saying, "Oh, I'm pro." This person's pro Bernie, or a pro Obama, or a pro George Bush. Right? It's something very unique to Trump, and that's largely what I take issue with, and largely what I complain about on social media is the double standards. How it's always Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. Never gets any credit for any of the good things that he does. And there's just a bunch of nonsense in the way that I see that mainstream media en masse reports on his tomfoolery. Anyways, let's see. View previous surprise. So I responded to Mark. I said, "Yep, I'm still rocking the hat. Got it on right now. No, Trump is not my man. My man's one of my closest friends for years unfriended me on Facebook because, according to her, and this is the other friend that I was talking about, according to her, she was tired of hearing my pro felon in chief post on Facebook. Credit to her. I did think that it was funny when she used the term felon in chief. But I found that messaging. I found two things. I found it disappointing that she unfriended me on Facebook, and secondly, that she wasn't at least intrigued, because I used to get a lot of good feedback. I used to be way further to the left, and I would post way more than I do now online these huge long dissertations about pro this and Black Lives Matter and all that rah rah rah. People loved it. People loved it. They ate it up. I would post it and get 10, 20, 30, 40 likes routinely. These days, I get anywhere from 0 to 2 likes. Shout out to my nigga Miguel. Um, because I am typically talking about personal agency, taking responsibility for your life, not blaming everything on someone else, blah, blah, blah. But I would have thought, though, just because I used to be so well received, like if you and I are very close friends, this is someone that I once upon a time would call my best friend. Why weren't you at least intrigued? Like, okay, in the past, I used to tell Ryan that I thought that he, made some intelligent point. I appreciated the as I perceived it at the time, the nuance that he was bringing to things and through the left side of the aisle in terms of his argumentation. And now I'm hearing that he's changed up his tunes on a lot of stuff. I don't agree with it, but I'm at least interested to hear, where he's coming from. Nope, nope, that's not what happens. Like they put on the earmuffs, throw Ryan in the trash, unfriend, protect my peace, whatever. If that's what you have to do to protect your peace, girl, do your thing. But what I found even more problematic is that there's not a single pro-Trump post on my Facebook. You'll see here in a second that I made a wager with one of my buddies, and if you and I stand by it, Mark. If you can find, I did a quick pass myself. If you can find any pro-Trump post on my Facebook, I'm gonna send you $100. Initially, I was gonna say $1,000, but then I was like, I might have slid one by, so I went ahead and brought it down to 100. And so, anyways, just to finish this up, I said I have never posted a single pro-Trump thing on Facebook. What I have done is pointed out areas of unjust criticism that retards on the left have levied against him. There are some things that he does that I agree with, and others that I do not. Trump bad gets old after a while. Now, if you excuse me, I have Kool-Aid to make, right? Another joke about drinking the Kool-Aid. Mark Baer so eloquently started off with "shut the hell up." I do appreciate the dot 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 after the "shut the hell up," Mark. It really it helps build the suspense and anticipation for what you were to say following that. 4 days later, and I ain't trying to read one of your paragraphs. I don't think my comment was that long, but whatever. You definitely posted pro Trump. Remember when that girl knocked you off your bar stool and stomped on your MAGA hat over at One Arm Scissor or whatever alternative bar it is that you like to frequent? So what he's talking about is I was wearing this MAGA hat at a different place called Elder Sun Brewing, and I was kicked out of the bar. I was there minding my business. This goofy black girl that was sitting next to me couldn't control her emotions and was so distraught by the fact that I had a MAGA hat on that she needed to start chirping in my ear and blah blah blah. Y'all have already heard the story on Facebook. So yeah, I just clarified. No, it wasn't at One Arm Scissor, which is a dope bar in downtown Houston. It was actually at a brewery called Elder Sun Brewing, and I made a joke about them going out of business. I'm not happy that they went out of business. The owner of this place was actually pretty cool. We never actually met up, but I did have an email exchange with him, and so I'll leave that there. So, anyways, I am rambling, man. I'm already at the 8.5 minute mark, but I'm gonna hopefully land the plane in the next couple minutes. But this is largely what I wanted to get at. Again, my friend, who will go unnamed, um, if I can even call her a friend anymore, I haven't spoken to her in quite some time, uh, unfriended me. One of her best friends, I don't want to give away too much because I don't want folks all in my business know who I'm talking about, but one of her best friends of many years, I've known this girl for over 20 years at this point, um, because she was tired, quote unquote, tired of hearing my pro felon in chief posts. Okay, well I took a quick pass through posts that I made in 2024 and 2025 that referenced Donald Trump. Let's take a look at a couple of them. September 24th, 2024. This is not a pro-Trump statement. That's an interesting way for a pro-Trump person to start something off. And it's just me describing how I feel like the media is always demonizing any and everything that Trump says or does. And sometimes it is deserved, and then other times it is not. And when you don't have when you're not calling balls and strikes as a media outlet, it should eventually get to a point that it turns off your audience. The very long Facebook post, I'm not going to read it. It's just going to take too long. This other one, Trump says black jobs, nonstop complaints on social media. Biden calls half the country garbage, crickets. Keep this in mind the next time Trump uses this or says fake news. What do I mean by that? When Trump said black jobs, the media went crazy. Social media went crazy. Regular media went crazy. Oh my God, what do you mean black jobs, Mr. President? Biden gets up there, calls half the country garbage, those people on the right, and there was crickets, right? I find that odd. But then when Trump is up in front of the podium giving a press conference and he's pointing at somebody at CNN and he's saying, "You're fake news," everyone's going to be, "Oh, Trump is eroding trust in the media." That erosion is deserved. Look at how many likes did I get on this post? One like. It's not up for debate. He says black jobs. CNN lost their mind when he said black jobs to the point that it went viral and everyone was talking about it. That was 1 month after CNN did a report where him and Biden, they were both in New York at the same time, and they both were giving outdoor speeches to people trying to, their what's the word when you're not when campaigning. And Trump went into detail what he meant by that, right? I'm not going to regurgitate it, but he was describing how, in his mind, you can disagree whether or not this is happening. In his mind, there's a disproportionate effect among Black and Hispanic Americans from who compete for lower skills, and lower income jobs disproportionately um, with illegals who come here from the south of the border, or who come here from wherever. People who are illegal need to work under the table. They're now in direct competition for some of these jobs, and they're taking money out of the pockets of Americans. That's his argument. You can disagree with that argument, but it's certainly not this racist argument, right? And it's but I heard nonstop nonsense about it. Biden gets up there and calls half of the country garbage. Oh man, who cares? Um, let's see. Fake news, only Trump lies. That doesn't sound pro Trump to me. It just sounds like I'm saying, hey, quit being hypocritical. Call Trump out when he deserves to be. Don't, blah, blah, blah. I forgot what I was supposed to say. I'm not going to read this entire thing, but this was after Trump's assassination attempt. I put there are legitimate things to criticize Trump on. Deporting American citizens and being a dictator is not one of them. That's not pro Trump. That's just me saying, hey guys, let's be reasonable about this. Saying Trump bad and Trump dictator and existential crisis for democracy over and over and over doesn't get the job done. April 3rd, Trump dumb. December 1st, this was an article about Joe Biden pardoning his son before he left office. I personally don't care about it. I would have done the same thing. I was just pointing out if this was Trump, y'all would lose your mind. You're like, oh, what is he trying to hide? And blah, blah, blah. In this investigation. This is me again describing what I just had mentioned about Trump speaking. You see that here's the link to that CNN video where he uses the term black jobs in this video. CNN listens to the video, and then the female host, I forget her name, reflects on it. And she's having a conversation with someone about what Trump just said. And she didn't stop and say, oh my gosh, can you believe he said black jobs? It wasn't until a month later when he said it on the debate stage and it picked up steam on social media, and CNN and MSNBC, everyone else was looking around and noticing this is another opportunity to crap on Trump. They jumped on the bandwagon, ignored the reporting that they just did a month prior to that, completely ignored it, and just started, oh yeah, Trump Hitler, yeah, Hitler and racist. This does not sound pro Trump to me. This sounds like pro logic, pro reason, pro fair and balanced to me. I'm not even going to read this, but for the record, I am not Republican, nor am I a Democrat, depending on the topic. I think they both belong in the loony bin. That does not sound like a pro-Trump or a Repub-tard to me. Blah, blah, blah. Not worth reading. To clarify again, although I have 3 sweet MAGA hats, I am not a fan of Trump. However, I am equally, if not more, not a fan of where wokeness has taken the left. Trump says mean things to three black journalists, therefore racist. Show the clip of him making similar comments to white journalists. There are plenty. American politics needs a reset button. That sounds to me that sounds reasonable. Maybe I've just had too much of the Kool-Aid. This one I actually like, so I will read. Before you get too upset with the election result, remember that you are broke under Bush, you were broke under Obama, broke under Trump, broke under Biden, and now you're going to continue being broke under Trump again. Complaining about home prices, but you haven't saved even $100 for a down payment in 10 years. The biggest things that you can affect in your life are yours to control. You can take agency, or you can keep waiting for the government to raise minimum wage, or reparations, or forgive your student loans, etc. I'm not saying that I'm for or against any of those measures. I'm simply stating that before I'd hold my breath, I'd look in the mirror and see what Ryan can do for Ryan. This is honestly a pretty solid encapsulation of where my head is at politically. And I'm not saying that people on the left, you should stop fighting for that stuff if you care about it. Some of it I don't agree with. I'm just going to be honest. But I've never heard Kyle Kalinske, for example. I used to be a big fan of his. If you're a leftist and you watch, you get any of your news from the internet, from YouTube, then I'm sure you know who Kyle Kalinske is. I've never heard him give any financial advice. I never heard, "Hey guys, you should save your money when you're young. Rent an apartment with your buddy or something." Any kind of advice that can actually help you right away. It's always like, "Oh, we gotta reform the system." And people make so many bad choices, and I never hear any messaging from the left about fixing those bad choices that you make at the individual level. In fact, when I, Ryan Ellis, get on the internet and describe some of the bad choices that people make on the individual level, people unfriend me. Family members call me and talk to me for 2 hours about, "Hey, this other family member said, what's going on with Ryan's politics? What's going on with Ryan? All of a sudden, Ryan's not saying that everything's the white man's fault anymore. This is getting out of hand." I, that's just where I'm at. That's just where I'm at. Where is the neither button? July 22nd, 2024, before the election, Kamala, Donald Trump. That doesn't sound super pro-Trump to me. That was the last post. So I don't know. I would just advise people to try and remove emotion, not entirely, but to some degree, remove emotion from politics, right? It is an emotional thing. It can be very frustrating. I'm sure I've expressed emotion, sarcasm, annoyance, and how I'm speaking now. But when you're sitting there, you're being calm and you're reflecting on things, like maybe just take a moment to say, okay, is Trump really Hitler? I know CNN and Dana Bash and all these people keep saying it over and over, but is that true? I mean, I recall Obama or whomever on the left doing something analogous, and it didn't get the same feedback. You know what? Instead of doing that, I think I'm just going to click unfriend and protect my peace, because although Ryan has said on numerous occasions that he's not pro Trump, and I can't find a single pro Trump post on his Facebook, I'm tired of hearing his pro Trump arguments for the felon in chief. So I'm going to unfriend one of my best friends that I've known over 20 years. And I'm not salty about this, guys. I'm generally not. I wish this girl the best. Yeah, I was getting ready to say something about Charlie Kirk and some disturbing comments that this individual made after unfriending me that another friend communicated to me. But I'm just going to leave that there. I gotta go, man. I gotta get some breakfast. I'm rambling at this point. It's been almost 20 minutes. I am not pro-Trump, but I also don't think that people who are pro-Trump should be demonized. The left are just as retarded as the right. It, probably a little more so. Probably, I'm gonna just keep it 100. Probably a little more so, but whatever. It's up for debate. I try and take things issue by issue. Blah blah blah, etc. etc. I gotta go.